Hi, welcome to Engineering 160A, Studio Session 1.1c, LabVIEW Basics on String and Boolean Data Types. Our objective is we want to try and create a VI which can detect whether or not a word or phrase is a palindrome. A palindrome is a word or phrase which reads the same backward or forward, such as Bob or race car. The user of the VI can input any word or phrase, and an indicator light should illuminate if the word or phrase is a palindrome. In order to achieve this, we will have to learn about two new data types, the Boolean data type and the string data type. The Boolean data type is a special data type which understands only true or false and is denoted by green wires. On the other hand, string data type is a data type which can carry alphanumeric data and is denoted by pink wires. To begin, let's recall that I want to have the user be able to input some sort of word or phrase, and then I want an indicator light to let me know whether or not that word or phrase is a palindrome. So I want user input of some sort of alphanumeric data. So I need a string. So let me go to the front panel, because that's where my user will interact, and I can go down to string and path, and I can see there's a string control, meaning the user can input, or there's a string indicator that will just be a display to the user. So I want the user to be able to input something. So let me grab this string control and let me drop that down on the front panel. And once I drop it down on the front panel, you can automatically see that that string control shows up in my block diagram ready for me to wire it up. So let me change the name of my string control. Instead of just saying string, let me call this palindrome input. All right, I also want my indicator light. So let me right click again on the front panel, and I can go down to the Boolean subpalette, and the Boolean subpalette has push buttons, rocker buttons, and light switches. So again, a Boolean is just a true or false. So the input or the control would just be a push button. If I push it in, it's true. If it's not, then it's false. And an indicator could just be a light. If the light is illuminated, it's true, and if the light is off, it is false. So let's go ahead and grab one of these LEDs. So let's use a square LED. Okay, drop down that square LED, and I can make it bigger if I wanted. And I'll write, is the word or phrase a palindrome? Now let me bring my attention to the block diagram. So I have a string control. So this is going to be where the user is inputting his word or phrase. I want to be able to figure out if that character string were reversed, if it's identical in the forward position. So I have to do some sort of comparison on these two strings, one that's forward and one that is somehow reversed. So let's right click, and that'll bring up my functions palette, and I can go down to a subpalette that's called comparison. And again, there are many different options, but let's just take a look at this equal to. Okay, so let me drop that down. I will hit Control H, and that can bring up my context help. And when I look at the function equal, it says, okay, put in something called x, something called y, and what comes out is this green wire, which means it's a Boolean data type, or a true or false, of whether or not x is equal to y. So if x and y are equal, I'll have true coming out, and if x and y are not identical, then I will have a false coming out. Alright, so that looks like exactly what I want. So the first thing I want to do is just have the word or phrase as is come into my comparison block. What I want to do is compare the reverse of that character string. So let's see if I can easily do that. Well, let me right click, bring up my functions palette, and I can go down to the string subpalette. Okay, so that'll have all the different functions which allow me to work on strings. So let me navigate, and I can go to this subpalette, says additional string functions, and I look, and there is a function that already does what I want, reverse the string. So let me drop that down on the block diagram, and I can hook up the character string that I input, and then what comes out is going to be that reversed. So you can see here, if the character string were simple A and B, what would come out is then B and then A. So the exact thing that I want. So let me take that reverse string and then put it into the bottom. And now this is going to compare whether or not it's the same when reversed. If it is, I will get a true signal coming out. And if it is true, then it will illuminate my Boolean indicator or my indicator light. So that should do the trick. Let's go ahead and see whether or not this program works. All right, let's jump back to my front panel, and let's put in a word that we know is a palindrome, like race car. Now, when I hit the run button, this should illuminate. And indeed it does, letting me know that it is a palindrome. Let me now input a word that I know is not a palindrome. Let's put in the word truck. Okay. And if I hit run again, you will see that the indicator light shuts off, letting me know that this is not a palindrome. Okay, let's see if this thing works perfectly. And let me use some sort of proper noun like the name Bob. So I write Bob and I hit run, and the first thing I notice is Bob is a palindrome, but for some reason the indicator light is not illuminating. And the reason for that is the way we've input Bob with a capital B, O, little b. If I reverse that, it is not truly identical forwards and backwards. If I want the ability for the program to be able to detect palindromes and not worry about capitalization, I can circumnavigate that problem by making a small adjustment to my VI. Let me go back into the block diagram then and see if I can change this. If I don't care about capitalization, one thing I can do is when the user inputs the string, automatically all of the letters become capitalized. This will eliminate any confusion whether the user has input a mixture of capital and lowercase letters. So let's see if I can do that. Let me right click again, and I can go down to my string subpalette, and I can look for all different types of functions that we can have. There's a function called toUpperCase. This will take all of the characters and make them automatically capitalized. So let me now bring that in, drop that down, and let me hook that up to the X terminal on my comparison block. And I want to also take the output, or take the string when it's all capitalized, and then reverse that one. Now my program should work for a proper noun such as Bob. So let me go back to my front panel. I still have Bob as my input, and now I run the program and I get that Bob is indeed a palindrome, even though one of the letters is capitalized. Let's now try and input a phrase. So let me go ahead and extend my control here and erase Bob, and let's put in a phrase that I already know is a palindrome just to test the program, and that is a nut for a jar of tuna. Now if I hit run, I notice that even though this is a palindrome, the program tells me it is not. And the reason for this is that the string itself has in it these different spaces after every word, which when reversed, those spaces are understood and do not give an identical reversed string. So one way to eliminate this issue is to just get rid of all of the spaces, and now I have a nut for a jar of tuna as one long continuous word, and I can hit run, and indeed LabVIEW tells me that this is a palindrome. What I would like you to do is try and use the functions subpalette on the block diagram and manipulate the string using any functions you want in the string subpalette to allow the program to be able to detect whether or not a phrase is a palindrome, even though the user inputs spaces after words. Give it a try. If you would like some more example of palindromes, click the YouTube link below.